Hello everyone and welcome to another dumb YouTube video on my dumb YouTube channel. Basically, I have been recently loving the work of Haruki Murakami. So I bought this book which is called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running, and this is essentially Murakami's memoir. And in this book, Murakami talks about his batshit crazy daily routine. So every single day he wakes up at 4 a.m, the time I usually go to bed, which in fairness says more about me than him. But anyway, he then works for 5 or 6 hours before running a 10K every day, and then reads, listens to music, and goes to bed at 9 p.m. And this got me thinking, which is dangerous and something we need to stop from happening. What if I spent the next week of my life not only following Murakami's daily routine, but also the daily routines of 5 other very, very famous authors? So, this is so stupid. I'm also going to be following the daily routines of Jane Austen, Ernest Hemingway, Maya Angelou, Charles Dickens, and W.H. Auden. Did I pick Auden just because his daily routine involved having cocktails? Yes, but I deserve it. And also, because apparently this wasn't already a big enough act of self-sabotage, I'm also going to be reading a book by each of these authors each day, so you'll get a kind of mini book review as well. So, tomorrow is day 1. Tomorrow I follow the daily routine of Haruki Murakami. And I am dreading it.
On tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, we have something that's gonna make you sick.
Oh, I hate myself. Oh man, these video concepts always seem like such a good idea when I come up with them. Oh god, it's so bright. Oh man, it literally burns. I've got to work for 5 to 6 hours. And you know what? That's the last thing I want to do. Okay, I've been working for like 6 hours now and it's only 10 a.m. I feel very smug that I've been up since 4 a.m, but equally I feel very, very tired. I also just wanted to quickly let you know that today's video is in partnership with Skillshare, so thank you so much Skillshare for sponsoring it, and we'll talk about them a little bit later on. Okay, it's now time for the dreaded moment. I am going to run Haruki Murakami's daily 10-kilometer run. Am I going to run through Regent's Park just in the hope of seeing some dogs? Yes. Am I saying that I'm running 10 kilometers instead of 6 miles because 10 is a bigger number? Also yes. And I think this could be what I talk about when I talk about dying, and we'll see how that goes.
I wrote my feelings out on paper, felt like that was safer. Then I tore it up and took a shot without a chaser. Still in the same spot, call me when the race stops. Am I better off admitting that you're a stranger?
Okay, we're halfway and my feet feel like they're gonna fall off, so that's good. We are done. There's my route. I appreciate that route makes absolutely no sense, and that's basically because I decided that if I didn't plan, then my brain would be so busy working out the route that I just wouldn't think about the fact that I was running. Did that work? No. And so I ran the 10K or 6 miles in 47 minutes and 51 seconds, which I'm pretty chuffed with, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm currently chugging this water, and the reason I don't look like a complete mess right now, just an average size mess, is because I actually finished the run like 2 hours ago, but just as I was walking back to my house, walking down the street was one of my friends from uni, and so we ended up going to the canal and having a massive catch up. It was so nice, such a weird coincidence, but yeah, that was so lovely. So she saw me in my sweaty, exhausted state, so you don't have to. She really took one for the team. But I am absolutely shattered. Imagine a piece of glass near an opera singer singing their highest possible note. That's how shattered I am. And I think I might have mentioned this while I was running, but genuinely, my feet went completely numb. Like, I could not feel my feet for about half of the run, and normally I would have just stopped. But because of the pressure of filming, I just carried on for some reason, and I'm glad I did it, but oh my gosh, my feet. It was the weirdest sensation ever. And I would suspect, not a good thing. And can I just say, I've got to look after these babies because someone made an account for me on a foot fetish website. Genuinely, I don't know if this is something I should be proud of, but my feet have a higher average rating than my literal book. Like the book that I wrote. So, you know, these feet are my greatest asset, apparently. So let's do a review of what I talk about when I talk about running. Now listen, I know this is gonna sound so stupid because this book literally inspired this whole video, but I did not really enjoy this book at all. I don't want to use the word pointless, but I am putting it out there. Normally, I love Murakami. I think that he creates these fascinating, bizarre characters in every single one of his books. But this book, for me, was just not it. Just because this really is a collection of short extracts about Murakami's journey with running from his first ever jog to his first ever marathon. The experience of reading this book to me was the same as when you go to a house party. Remember house parties, weren't they fun? Isn't that nostalgic? And you would get stuck talking to someone that you barely know and you'd be in the corner of the room and they're telling you about their hobby that you really don't care about. That's what this book felt like to me. This felt like I was stuck in small talk with Haruki Murakami. And there are so many things I would love to know about Murakami, but it wasn't this, and I cannot see myself recommending this to anyone really. Maybe I'm just bitter, but this man made me wake up at 4 AM today. But following his recommendation, I'm going to spend the evening listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, Gorillaz and Beck and the Beach Boys, and reading, and then going to bed at 9 PM. Honestly, today has been pretty terrible actually. Like, I'm just so tired. I don't know, I guess somewhere between waking up at 4 AM and then doing a 10K run just wiped me out. So Murakami's daily routine is going to be a big fat no from me. Also, I just had a massive nosebleed, but I feel like I can't really pin that on Murakami. I imagine this kind of routine could work for you, but then what happens if you have one late night? Like, you're screwed. So I don't want to do this ever again. Thankfully, all of the other routines wake up slightly later than this, so I will see you tomorrow. Hello, it is day 2. I am very excited for today's activities, mostly because it doesn't involve any running whatsoever. So today we are following Maya Angelou's daily routine. And what Maya Angelou would do is she would rent a hotel room in her local area. She wouldn't stay the night, she would just go there for the day. And I think the idea behind this is to get a kind of work-life separation and balance. And so I am gonna give it a go. And I've rented a hotel room on this website called Day Use, where you can basically just use a hotel room for the day, not the evening. I didn't know that existed until now, but there really is a website for everything. So that is today's plan. Well, look who it is. Okay, so I've arrived at my hotel now, and I've accidentally booked somewhere so bougie. I mean, look at these cabinets. That is nice. I've been here about 5 minutes and I've already hit my head on this about 12 times. Ow! So the one thing you will notice is that the room is very, very pink. And I cannot believe how nice it is. Like, look at this bed. This is so beautiful. And genuinely, this was the second cheapest place on the website. So then we have this sliding door. Yes, I do feel powerful, thank you for asking. And look at this little area. I have to say, I probably should have checked that the room I was staying in had a desk, since that's like the whole point, but this table will definitely do. And then we have this little kind of kitchenette, which is so nice. Here's my view. Honestly, I absolutely smashed this. And the downstairs and the lobby and everything was so nice as well. And then finally, the bathroom is blue double D double da. The block colors actually are making me feel like I'm in a music video. So here I am, this is what I look like, just in case you forgot. And then this is the bathroom. Of course, I've christened it already. Very swish tap, and this, of course, is a fantastic feature. Look at this. Who gives a crap? Premium toilet paper. That's right, guys, now that I've hit 400,000 subscribers, I only use the premium stuff. But yeah, I can see why Maya Angelou was into this. So this is Berman's Lock in Bermondsey, and the reason I chose Bermondsey is because my family are actually from here originally. My grandmother, so my mum's mum, actually grew up on a council estate really close to here before they all kind of moved down to Sussex, which is where I grew up. And my great-grandmother, Nanny Glad, she used to talk about Bermondsey with such fondness, and she was so proud to be from here. And so when I saw Bermondsey on the website, I was like, I have to come and stay here. Obviously, it's so different now and so gentrified, but it's really cool to come to a place where my family is literally from. So I recently listened to Maya Angelou talking on the BBC World Book Club, and I don't know if any of you have ever felt this, but have you ever fallen in love with the way that someone talks? Like, the way that they string a sentence together is just so elegant and exquisite and beautiful. That's how I felt about Maya Angelou, and instantly I just wanted to read everything she'd ever written. So I ordered 3, but this is the first one I've got round to reading. I just finished it just now in my bougie new apartment. This is A Letter to My Daughter, and this book just feels like a warm hug, genuinely. So Maya Angelou has a son, but she never had a daughter, and so this is basically a letter to the women of the world who she sort of inherits as her daughters by giving this wisdom and her advice. And she's lived such a fascinating, complex life and existence, and it's so interesting to read about. It feels so honest and compassionate and inviting. So I enjoyed this so much. And I am now a Maya Angelou stan. So I would recommend, and I also feel like this is the kind of book that you would read and reread and reread again. And now I cannot wait to read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Okay, so I was just sitting here doing my work and I was thinking to myself, who would rent a hotel room just for the day? And then I realised the usual kind of clientele for this kind of thing is probably prostitutes, porn stars, or people having affairs. And now I feel so weird about doing this. Especially because I turned up with my camera. And now that I think about it, when I checked in, the lady at the desk was like, oh, are you expecting a guest? And I was like, no, just solo today. So, yeah. Now, one thing Maya Angelou would do is she would remove the art from the walls in the hotels that she would stay in, basically so she had like a blank canvas for thinking. We're not gonna do that because I will break it. And the trick, I think, in life is to know your own limits, know your own capabilities, and let's... what I was gonna say is let's get working. Listen, I was gonna get my money's worth, so I found that there's a gym, like a fitness suite, that I could rent out, and now I have the sole use of this whole place. How cool. That's right, you've heard of Hot Girl Summer, now get ready for going from a 4 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10 men Spring. Listen, it's not quite as catchy, but I'm working on it. I had a great gym session, a wonderful shower, and unfortunately I will not be sleeping in this bed because Maya Angelou would not have done that. She just stayed in these hotels for the day. And that is breaking my little heart because that, I imagine, is really comfy. I haven't even let myself sit on it because I don't want to know. If it's comfy, I don't want to know. I would actually say though, I have been very productive today in terms of work, and I can definitely see why Maya Angelou does this, but I do not have the funds for that. So I'm gonna go. I am going to pack up my stuff and let's go. I'm home. I'm not happy about it, but I am home. I'd very much like to be sleeping in that hotel bed, but you know what? It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. This has been day 2. This has been living as Maya Angelou, and I will see you tomorrow for day 3. Good morning, today is day 3, and today, just to mix it up a little bit, I'm going to be following the daily routine of one of my least favourite authors. Sorry, this is controversial, but that author is Charles Dickens. One thing I am pleased about is that he wakes up at 7 AM like a normal human. So he would get up at 7, he would then work for the day, and then in the afternoon he would go for a 3-hour walk around London. We're now out of lockdown, so everything is opening back up, and there are so many independent bookshops I really want to go to, so that is the plan. Do you want to come with me? You actually have no choice. Okay, so I've made it to Finsbury Park. Here's some cherry blossom. And I'm listening to the audiobook of A Tale of Two Cities because I was finding reading it kind of boring, not gonna lie. So I'm hoping that the audiobook is gonna help me finish this book. But right now, I'm in Finsbury Park because I'm looking for this bookshop, which is also a cafe. It's called Book Bar, and I just think it's the best idea ever. It's literally combining the two things that I love the most, books and bars. It's the dream combo. Honestly, name a more iconic crossover. You thought Avengers was good. I'm excited for this. So I'm currently using my D&V orienteering skills to try to locate this place. So fingers crossed I can find it, and fingers crossed they're open. Oh my god, there she is. Wow, thanks a lot. So this is the store, and look how lovely this is.
I help you when I can't even help myself. How can I trust myself to fall in love with someone else?
Oh my god, you guys, Book Bar was everything I've ever wanted and more. We also had a really good chat with Chrissy, who's the owner, and she's recently set it up. It's only been open for a few weeks, and yeah, it was just so cool. And I did make a purchase. In fact, I actually joined the book club that Book Bar has, and this is the first month's book. So, you know when something is so beautifully wrapped, you don't want to destroy it. Independent bookshops are just the best thing, and I always think that the people who run them are just so lovely. It's the best experience ever. So get out there and go to an independent bookshop if you get the chance this week. And this is the book. This is Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. Firstly, that has to be one of my favourite book covers of all time. That is absolutely stunning. Longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction in 2021. This is set in 1957 in the suburbs of southeast London. So very excited to read that, and quite enjoyed my little 3-hour excursion. Thanks, Charles Dickens. One thing I unfortunately did not enjoy so much was this book, A Tale of Two Cities. I'm sorry. I honestly had exactly the same response to this as I had to Bleak House and Great Expectations. Like, I can appreciate the sheer talent that Charles Dickens had. He crafts these really rich mosaics. There's so many characters and so many different events, so many different storylines, and this chorus of characters collide, but I just don't enjoy reading it. I can kind of see why this was serialized in magazines and newspapers when it was first written, kind of like the Victorian Coronation Street. And I'm glad I've read this book because it is so iconic. Like, the first line, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times," is one of the most legendary first lines in any piece of literature ever. And I've given Charles Dickens so many chances now, but I'm done. I'm breaking up with Charles Dickens. So yeah, I'm tapping out. Good morning. Today we are going to be living like Ernest Hemingway. I say we. I feel like you're not really pulling your weight here. I feel like I'm kind of doing all the work. Anyway, I am currently reading A Movable Feast, and this is all about his time in Paris. It's kind of like a memoir, and I've just got to the bit where he meets F. Scott Fitzgerald, and the descriptions are just incredible. I really love this author. He's my Ernest Hemingway. However, I am not so excited for what is yet to come. Also, I am absolutely ecstatic to let you know that today's video is sponsored by my friends over at Skillshare. You know I love Skillshare. This is an awesome platform with hundreds of courses designed for curious and creative people. There's such a range to choose from, but the course that I'm currently taking is hosted by the icon that is Roxane Gay. She's the author of the hugely successful book Bad Feminist, and she talks about crafting personal essays with impact. And honestly, it's just so cool getting to hear this established author talk about how she constructs her writing from the very first draft all the way to getting published. So if Skillshare tickles your pickle, then you can click the link in the description down below, and the first 1,000 people to click it will get a free Skillshare premium membership. So Get on it! Right now is the perfect time to learn a new skill or get better at the ones that you already have in classes designed by experts in those fields. So take this as your sign to get cracking. Love you, Skillshare! So, Ernest Hemingway would work standing up. And so I've kind of constructed this makeshift setup where I've got a cardboard box on top of a cabinet and then my laptop balancing on that. However, I've been doing this for an hour and a half now and it is killing my back. And I've been having back issues anyway. My back is sore from carrying youtube.com. That's a joke. And so, to be honest, I'm thinking there's no Hemingway that I can carry on with this, so I'm actually just gonna give up. And also, if you are interested in reading his work, I wouldn't necessarily start with A Movable Feast. It's more for like the die-hard Hemingway fans, you know? Would I say I'm a die-hard fan? Not quite. It is interesting, but it's mostly autobiographical, so I would recommend his fiction instead. Good morning, Treacle. Today we are living like W.H. Auden. Now, here's the thing. Auden would wake up at 6 a.m. and I had the intention of waking up at 6 a.m. and the alarm went off. I just then snoozed it for several hours, but minor details. The important thing is that we're here now and we all have our health. So apparently Auden would start each day by doing a crossword, which I assume is to kind of stimulate his brain and get his brain ticking at the beginning of the day. And normally my brain does not function until like at least midday. So I was thinking, where the hell am I gonna get a crossword from? I went downstairs and look what had come through my door. This one here says quick crossword, which is bold of you to assume that I will do this quickly. Also, you can text £5 for a clue, as if I would pay £5 when I could just Google it. Listen, work smart, not hard. Okay, so I am not the worst at this, but my attention span is like the length of a TikTok, so I'm getting kind of bored. I think I'm gonna leave it there so that there are no crosswords about the crossword, and also I do need to start work at some point. To be fair, the best thing about this is that the answers aren't in here, so I'll never know if I am stupid. I'll just assume I'm really clever just for doing the bare minimum. Oh wait, maybe the answers will be in tomorrow's paper. I just won't buy it. I'm telling you, work smart, not hard. Okay, so it's quite a lot later on now, and I've basically been working all day in my publishing job. So now that I finished my day of working with books, we are going to do what Auden would have done at the end of a day of writing books, and that is making a cocktail. So I've gone for a bit of a rogue one, but my cocktail of choice is going to be a mango daiquiri. Will it go wrong? Probably, but there's only one way to find out, huh? So I've started by chopping up my mango. The mango is in here, then I'm going to add lemon juice, some ice, and also the spicy water. Let's just say it rhymes with quite dumb. I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of completely guessed the quantities required for the lemon juice and the devil liquid, because in the words of Nigella Lawson, recipes are for wimps. She never said that, but let's just pretend she did. Victory! Okay, here we go. Let's all just agree to pretend I'm not sitting here in my apartment alone drinking a cocktail. Cheers, here goes absolutely nothing. Wow. Okay, I might have made it a little strong, but it's good. Okay, so I know that Auden had no role at all in designing this cover, because he's, well, dead. But this is a thing of beauty. My compliments to the chef. I've just finished the collection. It's so versatile and inventive. It uses a lot of kind of traditional meters and forms, and Auden is the king of the elegy. This was just a masterclass in poetry writing. Honestly, there are so many beautiful lines. In time, pretending to be blind and universally unkind might really send us out of our mind. It's so, like, tasty on the tongue. Speaking of tasty, cheers. This is just a bit too delicious. You know when it's dangerous how tasty this is? Anyway, I hadn't really read much of Auden's poetry, even though I did my dissertation on Christopher Isherwood, who was like his best pal. So I'm pleased to have finally picked this up, and this has been my favorite daily routine so far. Auden was just doing his crosswords, drinking his cocktails, and vibing. And that is a routine I can get behind. So I'll drink to that, Auden. R.I.P. You would have loved the Jack Edwards YouTube channel, and I'll see you all in the morning. I hope. Good morning, friends. Today we are living like the queen of English literature. Not Rupi Kaur. It is, of course, the woman on the £10 note, Jane Austen. So this is Jane Austen's daily routine. She would wake up early before the other women were up. Since I don't live with any women, I just took this as I can wake up at whatever time I want. She then played the piano. Don't have one of those, slight technical difficulty. However, one thing I would like to do is at 9 a.m. she organised the family breakfast, her one major piece of household work, and that I'm down for. So let's get cooking, good looking. Right guys, it's all happening. There we are. Wow, these Spot the Difference games getting harder and harder, huh? Ta-da! Wow. Look, it's a candlelit breakfast. Beautiful. By the way, that strange man that you saw me cooking breakfast for is my housemate Adam. He's finally back in London, and so I'm not living on my own anymore, which is so nice. And also, he has just released his debut single on Spotify. It's called Help Myself. You would have heard it throughout this video. It's an absolute bop. And yes, I do have it in my head constantly. So if you want to stream it and get it stuck in your head as well, head to, I'll leave the link down below, and go stream it on Spotify because it's wonderful. Anyways, today's book was this one. This is Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. I really enjoyed reading this because Jane Austen has this incredible ability to create characters you just despise. So there is this bloke in this novel called John Thorpe who is just the worst, the categorical worst. I'm telling you, if he was alive today, he would be Union Jack Twitter. He just is an asshole. He's a misogynist, he's a gaslighter, he is the worst. And even though I hated this man so much, I think that is testament to Jane Austen's ability to create believable characters who you genuinely feel real emotions for. Basically, the story is about a woman called Catherine who is experiencing fashionable society for the first ever time. I thought it was witty and charming and silly, and I really enjoyed it. So that is the final book and the final day of this silly little challenge, this silly little video. This turned into a much bigger commitment than I thought it would be when I first kind of had the idea, but for some reason I never learn and I keep saying myself these silly challenges. So subscribe if you want to see the next one. I'm also doing a big book giveaway over on my Instagram when I hit 100,000 followers, and we're very, very close. So if you'd like to check that out, then please go and give me a follow and you can enter the competition when it's up in the next few days. What did I learn from this? I learned that 3-hour walks around London are lovely in the spring. Cooking breakfast is a way to keep your housemates happy. I learned that waking up at 4 a.m. and running 10k and standing up whilst working do not make me happy. And staying in a hotel was really good fun. So actually, it's been quite an eventful week. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for the continued support on this channel. It's absolutely blowing my little brain, and a huge shout out to Skillshare for sponsoring this video and making it all happen. The link will be down below if you want to be in the first 1,000 people to get a free trial of Skillshare Premium. As always, you can give this video a big fat juicy thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I love you all to the moon and back, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.